It's the next morning, and sky looks pretty good. I think it's going to be an awesome day. I'm so excited and scared at the same time. I got the butterflies. Okay, let's see. Ooh. That sort of fits, but I can't drive like that. But we can try this cup holder over here. Maybe it'll fit. If not, I'll have to get a different drink. It just needs to. Oh, you know that? I think that'll be good enough for the drive to the track. A little last minute misplanning. So my racing numbers, these are magnets. Don't stick to this car. Oh, at the stadium. This is gonna happen. Hopefully I don't screw this up. All right, so I don't know if you know what autocross racing is, but autocross racing is solo. So you're not racing with another car. It's very safe, and it's time attack. So it's you versus the clock on a predetermined course. Now in Hawaii, they race down at the Aloha Stadium. There's several organizations that do it. I often race with the SCCA and the NASA, and I've actually hosted or sponsored my own event. This particular event was a VIP event, so it was co-sponsored by Circuit Hawaii, but it was under the banner of the NASA organization, National Automotive Sports Car Association, and it was staffed by the Hawaii Rally Sport Association. So it's time attack again. So it's you from a stop through cones to finish, and it's timed. And the SCCA does it for ranking nationally. Hawaii Rally Sport Association has similar thing, but it's not the same level of competition. The VIP events are a smidgen more money because there's less cars, so you get more runs. Some people could call it a test and tune event because you can test your car's ability and you can tune it because there's opportunity, because it's like 2.5 hours of lineup run. The event's slightly confusing because in the beginning, I know, Biscuit, you just can't help yourself. Meow. That it's the cones get confusing because it's cone after cone after cone, and you want to pay attention to that third cone out. And the cones have different meaning. A cone up like this versus two cones together versus a cone with a pointer, or actually be pointed like that. And it means like which way to go on the cone, as because there's some slaloms. And so as you see the video, you kind of see, oh, some cones are, there's a cone and there's another cone, or there's two cones, or there's a green cone. A green cone means you pass by it twice, usually, or a double cone would mean you pass by it twice, or that it's a gate, which means that you go in, you come out, and you come back out through that same point of two cones. It's very challenging. Now, this particular event was our low-speed events. Low-speed events means that it should be at speeds under freeway speeds, meaning like under 55 miles an hour as a national average. I think the fastest I got during this event was 57 miles an hour. So that's not much because you're in second gear on a Porsche, and that's 5,500 RPM. But that is like peak horsepower, but that's about it. It is very challenging. I enjoy it a lot because you get to learn the limits of the car. And other people get to learn the limits of the car, and it's safe. A benefit of doing it through an organized event like this, like NASA, the National Automotive Sports Car Association, they have a lot of safety guidelines, and they train people. So we had a safety official, we had a course designer, so they pre-map out the course so you can be sure that the turns aren't too sharp or the speeds aren't too high. And then because it's down at the stadium, you got to avoid certain obstacles because there were poles once in a spot and they cut down, and so there's tiny little metal things in the ground, and there's drains, so you want to avoid the drain because the drain has a freaking crazy dip, and we got a little close to the drain, and we'll notice that a lot of the cars are dipping in that. And then they made a course change because that cars were dipping too much. It made the course a little slower, a little harder. And then yeah, oh man, and So they always start out with a parade lap. And the parade lap is to help you, because you walk the course in the beginning, but then when you drive the course, it's a little different. And so when you drive the course the first time, it's kind of entertaining. And of course, me, I haven't been out in a little while, and so I completely got lost my first lap of the racetrack, and was like, because the car slid a little during the thing, and when the car slides a little, you're not used to it the first time, and I looked away, and when you look away for a moment, you can lose where that cone is that you're trying to find that's so many down the road, and I got completely lost on the course, and I'm like, I don't know where to turn, where am I? But I'm not the only one that happened to. Some people spun their car, some people slid the car, some people run over cones. Now today I didn't run over any cones. I did learn that the car is it's a beast, and we shall soon discover that together. Course adjustment. They're slowing down the course for me. My car didn't bottom out on that though. A lot of other people's cars did.
Take that, suckers!
That was hard.
Probably great for you. You're like, oh, I'm
like,
all floating.
I'm like swerving around. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be like a good shot.
Good, clear? Okay.
Yeah, just was the
ABS light.
And everybody comes together to fix a car. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a Porsche 992 Carrera GTS review time after Autocross. So Autocross is always a fun event. Everybody there is so awesome. It was a VIP event, so it was an AM session and a PM session. I raced in both. Got about 12 laps in the early session, and then there was lunch, and then I got to do 2 laps in the afternoon session, and then I got tired. So how does the 992 do? So I've been very fortunate. I've owned and raced 996 Cabriolet, my 997.1 Carrera S with manual, my 991.1 Carrera S PDK, and now this 992.1 GTS manual. And the car is a beast. I mean, beast. And I was really worried when I was bringing it there about breaking it in, you know, and trying. The car is so fast I didn't even use all the power. It has more power than it needed. It was just hard to find the balance, and it has turbo lag. So that car has Michelin 4S Sports on it, and I actually kind of like those tires because they have a lot of grip. And then sometimes when you overdrive the car and you understeer or oversteer the car and like the tires slide a little bit, sometimes on the next turn you got to be careful because the tires haven't regained all the traction. You know, they get too hot. They were okay. After several laps, the tires did get a little warm, so the PSI went up, which changed the handling of the car, but it was actually pretty good. And I was able to, after about 5 or 6 laps, figure out the turbo lag on the car. So sometimes you come into a turn and you don't want to punch it too hard because it would kick the ass end out, but you could come in early on the throttle with that one. And because of the turbo lag, I would hit the gas even earlier than I normally would because it would just, and then it would grunt out and then come out. And it was controllable versus like the 991. When I'm coming through a turn, if I smash the gas, it would just, it would be, and so because of the turbo lag, I was able to do that. And usually I'd want to be banging it back into first, and I did that a few times. But it wasn't making me faster. It was actually making me faster to leave the car in second gear, use the torque of the motor, because there's like 2 turns that are really tight, like 25 miles an hour, and I just got on the gas early. Try not to over brake, try not to over this, try and be smooth. And I had the fastest times of the day, and the car looked slow, and I was just crushing it. So I really like this 992. It is a bigger car, and I've noticed that the differences in the cars, like the 996 really understeers, the 997 understeers a little, but if you overgas it, it will, oversteer. So all of them tend to understeer, but this 992 GTS is way more balanced on the understeer, oversteer, and so it was showing in my times. So the 996 is always the struggle about the understeer, and I guess because previous Porsches, would kill you. So the 996 doesn't oversteer, it understeers. The 997 had bad understeer, and it was always a challenge with the tires to try and get the car to hook correctly, even though I've made videos of me assing the car out around turns. But that's just, trying to overpower the car through turns. The 991 has way more power, and it's a little more balanced between the understeer and oversteer, so you do got to be mindful with how hard you mash the gas coming out of sharp turns. But the 991 lifts the front more. The 992, it doesn't feel like it's lifting the front as much, and so the front stays more planted. Most of the time I had to be more cautious, like when I'm coming into a turn hot, it doesn't plow through the turn hot, it just turns, and the ass will come out if you're coming into a turn hard on the brakes. And then it had a lot of power, but it lags, so you could mash the throttle and then wait for the boost to come on. And when the boost came on, you could limit how hard you were with the gas, or you just go, oh crap, we're gonna go smash the brakes. And the car drove so good. The brakes finally broke in, so I got used to the brakes. The first literally 1,200 miles or 1,300 miles I'm driving the car, when you hit the brakes, they do not feel sharp. Like the 991, the 997 had very sharp brakes. The 996 doesn't have sharp brakes. You have to use a lot of force, and I thought there was something wrong with the car. I swapped out the brakes and the fluids and all that, and it turns out that's just the design of the car to give you better feel, because if you do smash the brakes, it locks them up. And I really enjoyed the car, and everybody there is so nice. It was funny because there was the guy with the slightly modified BMW, and so we joked because one of the guys with the Cayman GT4 had hit the dip, and it I guess the clamps for the exhaust tips weren't tight, so it folded down. And so I joked, I'm like, oh, I bet you the guy with the BMW brought tools, And sure enough, he did. And I'm like, here, let me get my towel so you don't have to lie on the ground. He had brought his tools over. He had brought a mat, and he was on the ground underneath the car, straightening the tips before I came back with the towel. And I was like, man, I need to be friends with that guy. So all in all, it was an awesome event. I could just ramble for the longest time. I really love the new car. I do miss my 997, but this car to replace that 997 is like so many leaps ahead in performance and technology. That it sort of justifies the fact that the price is way up there. I do want to get another little car to work on, but man, after knowing the performance of that car, it's like, why? If I was to go back in performance and buy a 997, I think I would get a 997 Turbo that was manual, a first gen, like a 997.1 manual. Because I don't want to go slow anymore. Oh, thank you very much for watching. Until the next one.